close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up tomorrow with $10 million in your bank account. How does that feel? Exciting? Terrifying? Impossible? Your immediate emotional response to that question reveals everything about your wealth psychology. And that psychology, not your education, not your circumstances, not even your current income, is what determines whether you'll ever actually experience that reality. Welcome to the Wealth Psychology, where we'll explore the invisible mental and emotional patterns that separate the wealthy from everyone else. This isn't about budgeting tips or investment strategies, though those have their place. This is about something far more fundamental and far more powerful: the way you think about money, wealth, success, and yourself. Here's a truth that might shock you. Your current financial situation is a perfect reflection of your wealth psychology. If you're struggling financially, it's because somewhere deep in your subconscious, you have beliefs, fears, and patterns that keep you there. If you're comfortable but not wealthy, it's because your psychology has a ceiling, an upper limit you won't allow yourself to exceed. And if you're truly wealthy, it's because your psychology supports and sustains that wealth. The great news? Psychology can be changed. Thought patterns can be rewired. Beliefs can be replaced. And when you transform your wealth psychology, your financial reality transforms with it. This isn't metaphysical wishful thinking. It's documented, research-backed science from the fields of behavioral economics, neuroscience, and success psychology. In this audiobook, you'll discover why most people stay poor despite working hard, the exact psychological differences between wealthy and poor thinkers, how limiting beliefs about money are formed and how to destroy them, the abundance mindset and how to develop it permanently, why your relationship with money determines your net worth, how wealthy people view risk, failure, and opportunity completely differently, the compound effect of small daily decisions on long-term wealth, and practical strategies to reprogram your wealth psychology starting today. But before we dive deep, let me be crystal clear about what this audiobook is not. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. There are no magic formulas or lottery strategies here. This is not about denying reality or pretending poverty doesn't exist. And this is definitely not about greed, materialism, or defining your worth by your bank account. Instead, this is about freedom. Financial freedom to live life on your terms. Freedom from the stress and limitations of money scarcity. Freedom to be generous, to take risks, to pursue meaningful work rather than just paychecks. Wealth psychology isn't about worshiping money. It's about mastering your relationship with it so money serves you instead of controlling you. Think about the wealthiest people you know, either personally or through their stories. What do they all have in common? It's not intelligence. Plenty of brilliant people are broke. It's not hard work. Millions work incredibly hard and stay poor. It's not even luck, though opportunity does play a role. What truly wealthy people share is a distinct way of thinking about money, value, risk, and possibility. They have a wealth psychology that magnetically attracts financial abundance. And here's the beautiful truth: that psychology is learnable. You weren't born with your current money beliefs. You learned them from parents, society, experiences, and culture, which means you can unlearn destructive patterns and install empowering new ones. Your financial future isn't determined by your past. It's determined by the psychology you choose to develop starting right now. So if you're ready to transform your relationship with money, if you're tired of financial stress and limitation, if you're willing to examine and challenge your deepest beliefs about wealth, then this journey is for you. Let's unlock the wealth psychology that will change everything. Your financial transformation begins in your mind. Change your thinking, change your wealth. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The fundamental difference. Rich thinking versus poor thinking. There's a scene that plays out millions of times every day across the world. Two people, similar backgrounds, similar education, similar starting points, take different financial paths. 20 years later, one is wealthy, financially free, living abundantly. The other is struggling, paycheck to paycheck, stressed about money constantly. What happened? The difference wasn't luck. It was psychology. Let me introduce you to two people, Sarah and Michael. They graduated from the same university the same year with the same degree. Similar intelligence. Similar opportunities. But their wealth psychology was radically different, and it created radically different outcomes. Sarah grew up hearing phrases like, "Money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, we can't afford that, just be grateful for what you have, wanting more is selfish." These messages, repeated thousands of times throughout childhood, formed her wealth psychology. Deep in her subconscious, she believed that money is scarce, wanting wealth is morally questionable, she doesn't deserve financial abundance, and staying comfortable is safer than pursuing wealth. Michael had a different experience. His parents said things like, "There's always a way to earn more, wealthy people create value for others, we'll find a way to afford what matters. You can achieve anything you set your mind to, financial success lets you help more people." His wealth psychology formed around beliefs that money flows from creating value, wealth is abundant and achievable, he deserves financial success, and taking calculated risks leads to rewards. Same starting point, completely different programming. And that programming determined everything that followed. When Sarah got a job offer with a lower salary than she hoped, she thought, "I should be grateful they hired me at all. I'll accept what they're offering." When Michael got a similar offer, he thought, "This company needs what I offer. Let me negotiate for what I'm worth." Sarah accepted. Michael negotiated and got 15% more. Over a career that compounds to hundreds of thousands of dollars difference, all from one psychological distinction. When Sarah had extra money, she immediately spent it or put it in a savings account earning minimal interest. Why? Because her programming said, money in hand might disappear, so either enjoy it now or hide it safely. When Michael had extra money, he invested it. His programming said, money can work for me and multiply. That distinction, repeated over years, created exponential wealth differences. When opportunities arose, Sarah saw risk and reason to say no. Her programming screamed, "Don't lose what you have, stay safe, you might fail." When Michael saw opportunities, he evaluated potential upside and calculated risk. His programming said, "This could multiply my wealth. What's the smart way to test this? Failure teaches me what works." Do you see the pattern? It's not that Sarah was less intelligent or less hardworking. In fact, she probably worked harder, constantly stressed about money, taking extra jobs to make ends meet. The difference was entirely psychological. Her programming kept her trapped. His programming propelled him forward. This is the fundamental distinction between rich thinking and poor thinking. Let's break down the specific psychological differences. Rich thinking, abundance mindset. Wealthy thinkers operate from abundance. They believe there's more than enough money, opportunity, and success to go around. When they see someone else succeed, they think, if they can do it, I can too. That's proof it's possible. Poor thinking operates from scarcity. There's only so much to go around. When someone else succeeds, they think, they got lucky or they took my share. That person's success means less for me. This distinction is massive. Abundance thinking creates collaboration, risk-taking, and generosity. Scarcity thinking creates competition, fear, and hoarding. Abundance thinkers invest. Scarcity thinkers hide money under metaphorical mattresses. Rich thinking, value creation focus. Wealthy thinkers constantly ask, how can I create more value? What problems can I solve? How can I serve more people better? They understand that wealth flows from value creation. The more value you create, the more wealth flows back to you. Poor thinking focuses on time for money. How many hours do I need to work to earn enough? Can I get a raise? Where's the next paycheck? This keeps you trapped in linear income. You trade hours for dollars, and there are only so many hours. Rich thinking. Investment orientation. Wealthy thinkers see money as seeds to plant. Every dollar is an opportunity to create more dollars. They buy assets, things that appreciate and generate income. Real estate, businesses, stocks, education that increases earning power. Poor thinking sees money as something to spend or save. They buy liabilities, things that depreciate and cost money. Cars, consumables, depreciating goods. Or they save it in low-interest accounts where inflation erodes its value. Rich thinking. Long-term vision. Wealthy thinkers delay gratification. They sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term freedom. They'll live below their means for years while building wealth. They think in decades. Poor thinking prioritizes immediate comfort. They'll spend today's money on today's pleasure even if it costs tomorrow's freedom. They think in weeks or months. Rich thinking. Calculated risk-taking. Wealthy thinkers understand that all reward requires risk. They don't gamble recklessly, but they calculate risk versus reward and take intelligent risks regularly. They know that staying safe is actually the riskiest strategy long-term. Poor thinking avoids risk at all costs. They cling to job security, even in jobs they hate. They avoid investing because they might lose money, not realizing they're guaranteed to lose purchasing power to inflation by not investing. Rich thinking. Personal responsibility. Wealthy thinkers believe their financial situation is their responsibility. If they're not where they want to be, they ask, "What do I need to learn, change, or do differently?" This is empowering because it means they have control. Poor thinking externalizes responsibility. The economy is bad, my boss won't pay me fairly, I wasn't born into money, the system is rigged. Even if these things are partially true, this mindset is disempowering because it removes agency. Rich thinking. Continuous learning. Wealthy thinkers invest heavily in education, but not just formal education. They read books about money, business, and psychology. They find mentors. They learn from failures. They understand that knowledge is the highest return investment. Poor thinking stops learning after formal education ends. They rely on what they already know and repeat patterns, even when those patterns don't work. Now here's what's crucial to understand. These thinking patterns are not personality traits you're born with. They're learned programs running in your subconscious. And just like software, they can be updated, replaced, and improved. I've watched people transform their wealth psychology and watched their bank accounts transform accordingly. A woman who grew up in poverty, surrounded by scarcity thinking, deliberately studied wealthy people's psychology. She read their books, listened to their interviews, and consciously adopted their thinking patterns. Within 5 years, she went from $60,000 in debt to building a multi-million-dollar business. Same person, different programming, different results. The question isn't whether you can develop rich thinking. The question is, are you willing to examine your current programming honestly and change what doesn't serve you? Because every wealthy person started somewhere. Many started with nothing, but they all developed the psychology first. The wealth followed. As you read through this book, pay attention to your internal reactions. When you encounter ideas that make you uncomfortable, that trigger resistance, that make you think, "That won't work for me," or "That's only for other people," you found your limiting beliefs. Those are the invisible barriers keeping you from wealth. And those are exactly what we're going to dismantle. Your current financial situation is not your destiny. It's simply the output of your current programming. Change the programming, change the output. Let's rebuild your wealth psychology from the ground up, starting with destroying the limiting beliefs that have held you back. Chapter 2. Destroying limiting beliefs about money. Every person carries invisible chains forged from limiting beliefs. These beliefs are statements your subconscious accepts as absolute truth, even when they're completely false. And when it comes to money, Limiting beliefs are the number one reason people stay financially stuck despite intelligence, hard work, and good intentions. Here's how limiting beliefs work. Your subconscious mind is like a highly sophisticated computer running programs in the background. These programs were installed mostly during childhood, when your brain was in a highly suggestible state. Every time your parents worried about money, every time you heard, "We can't afford that," every time you absorbed media messages about wealth, your subconscious was being programmed. The problem is, most of these programs are toxic. They're designed for survival and safety, not abundance and growth. They keep you small, playing it safe, avoiding risk. And unless you actively identify and replace them, they'll run your financial life forever, keeping you stuck in patterns that don't serve you. Let's expose the most common and destructive limiting beliefs about money, examine where they come from, and learn how to replace them with empowering truths. Limiting belief 1. Money is scarce and hard to get. This belief comes from growing up around people who struggled financially. Maybe your parents worked multiple jobs and still stressed about bills. Maybe you heard, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "We have to work hard for every dollar." That installed a program. Money is limited, earning it requires struggle and suffering. Here's the truth. Money is abundant. There are literally trillions of dollars circulating in the global economy. New wealth is created every single day. Yes, earning money requires value creation, but it doesn't have to be hard, and it's definitely not scarce. When you believe money is scarce, you operate from fear and lack. You hoard. You avoid spending on things that could multiply your income. You settle for less because you don't believe more is available. The empowering replacement belief is, money is abundant, and it flows to those who create value. This shifts your focus from scarcity to opportunity. Instead of asking, "Can I afford this?" you ask, "How can I afford this? What value can I create that generates the income one desire?" Limiting belief 2. Rich people are greedy, selfish, or immoral. This belief comes from cultural conditioning and negative media portrayals. Movies and TV often show wealthy people as villains. Political rhetoric sometimes vilifies the rich. You might have grown up hearing, "Money is the root of all evil," or "Rich people don't care about others." This installed a subconscious program. Becoming wealthy makes me a bad person. Here's the devastating effect of this belief. Your subconscious will sabotage any attempt to build wealth because it believes wealth conflicts with being a good person. You'll unconsciously avoid opportunities, spend money impulsively to get rid of it, or hit income ceilings you can't break through. The truth is, money is morally neutral. It's a tool that amplifies who you already are. Generous poor people become generous wealthy people. Selfish poor people become selfish wealthy people. Money doesn't corrupt character. It reveals it. And actually, wealthy people as a group give far more to charity and create far more jobs and value than poor people can. The empowering replacement belief is, wealth allows me to live my values more fully and help more people. This removes the moral conflict. Now pursuing wealth aligns with your identity as a good person. Limiting belief 3. I don't deserve to be wealthy. This belief comes from low self-worth, often rooted in childhood experiences of criticism, comparison, or conditional love. Maybe you internalized messages that you're not smart enough, talented enough, or special enough. That installed a program. People like me don't get to be wealthy. Wealth is for others, not me. This belief is insidious because it operates completely below conscious awareness. You might consciously want wealth, but your subconscious believes you don't deserve it, so it sabotages your efforts. You'll miss opportunities, make poor decisions, or experience mysterious bad luck that's actually self-sabotage. The truth is, your worth is not determined by achievement, intelligence, background, or any external factor. You deserve financial abundance simply because you're a human being on this planet. The universe doesn't play favorites. Money flows to those who learn the principles of wealth creation, period. The empowering replacement belief is, I am worthy of unlimited financial abundance. My value is inherent, and I deserve to experience wealth, freedom, and prosperity. Limiting belief 4. Wanting wealth is selfish or greedy. This belief comes from religious or cultural conditioning that valorizes poverty and demonizes desire for wealth. Maybe you grew up hearing, money won't make you happy, or the best things in life are free, or wanting more is ungrateful. This installed a program. Good people are content with little. Desiring more means something's wrong with me. The truth is, there's nothing noble about poverty. Being broke doesn't make you virtuous, and being wealthy doesn't make you greedy. Wanting financial abundance is natural and healthy. It allows you to live fully, help others generously, and create the life you desire. Financial freedom gives you choices that poverty doesn't, and those choices let you become the highest version of yourself. The empowering replacement belief is, desiring wealth is healthy and natural. Financial abundance allows me to live fully and contribute meaningfully to the world. Limiting belief 5. I'm not smart enough, educated enough, or talented enough to be wealthy. This belief comes from comparing yourself to others and assuming wealthy people have something you lack. Maybe you think, they went to Harvard, I didn't, or they're naturally gifted, I'm average, or they had connections, I don't. This installed a program. Wealth requires special qualities I don't have. The truth is, most wealthy people are not smarter than you. Research shows that beyond a basic level of intelligence, IQ has almost no correlation with financial success. What matters is wealth psychology, work ethic, and learning the principles of value creation. Many self-made millionaires never finished college. Many Harvard graduates work for people who barely passed high school. The empowering replacement belief is, I have everything I need to create wealth. What I don't know, I can learn. My intelligence, creativity, and determination are more than sufficient. Limiting belief 6. Making money requires sacrificing what matters: health, family, integrity. This belief comes from observing workaholics or hearing stories of people who got rich through unethical means. Maybe you saw your parents work themselves to exhaustion. Maybe you witnessed business owners who lied or cheated. This installed a program. Wealth requires selling my soul. The truth is, you can build wealth ethically, sustainably, and in alignment with your values. Yes, building wealth requires focus and effort, especially initially. But it doesn't require abandoning family, health, or integrity. In fact, the most sustainable wealth is built on ethical value creation, serving customers well, and treating people fairly. The empowering replacement belief is, I can build wealth ethically and sustainably while honoring my values and maintaining balance in my life. Now here's the critical question. How do you actually replace these limiting beliefs? Awareness alone isn't enough. Your subconscious doesn't release programs just because you consciously disagree with them. You need active reprogramming, and that requires repetition, emotion, and evidence. Step 1. Identify your specific limiting beliefs. Write down every negative belief you hold about money, wealth, and yourself in relation to finances. Be brutally honest. Don't censor. Just write, money is hard to earn, rich people are lucky, I'll never be wealthy, I'm bad with money, whatever comes up. Step 2. Question each belief. For every limiting belief, ask, is this absolutely true? What evidence contradicts this belief? Where did I learn this belief? Does holding this belief serve my financial goals? This creates cognitive dissonance, which loosens the belief's grip. Step 3. Create empowering replacement beliefs. For each limiting belief, write an empowering opposite statement. Instead of, money is hard to earn, write, money flows easily to me as I create value. Instead of, I don't deserve wealth, write, I deserve and attract abundant financial prosperity. Step 4. Reprogram through repetition with emotion. Read your empowering beliefs aloud every morning and evening. As you read them, feel them. Generate the emotion of already experiencing them. Visualize yourself living these truths. Your subconscious responds to repetition with emotional intensity. Step 5. Gather evidence. Look for proof that your new empowering beliefs are true. Every time you earn money easily, notice it. Every time you see ethical, wealthy people, acknowledge it. Every time you make a smart financial decision, celebrate it. You're training your brain to filter reality through your new beliefs. This process takes time, typically 60 to 90 days of consistent practice to significantly shift a deeply held belief. But the results are profound. I've watched people double and triple their income within months of changing their wealth beliefs, not because they work harder, but because they stopped unconsciously sabotaging themselves. Their new psychology allowed success they previously blocked. Here's the beautiful truth. You're not actually creating new beliefs. You're removing the false beliefs that covered up the truth that was always there. You are capable, worthy, and fully equipped to create financial abundance. The limitations were never real. They were learned, and anything learned can be unlearned. As we move forward, keep working on your belief systems. This is foundational work that everything else builds upon. Because all the strategies and tactics in the world won't work if your subconscious is running programs that sabotage wealth. Fix the psychology first. The wealth follows naturally. Chapter 3. The Abundance Mindset. Your Gateway to Wealth. There's a fascinating study in behavioral psychology where researchers gave two groups of people identical financial scenarios and asked them to make investment decisions. The only difference was the framing. One group was told, "You have a 90% chance of success." The other was told, "You have a 10% chance of failure." Identical odds. Completely different emotional responses and choices. The first group, focused on success probability, took calculated risks and made profitable investments. The second group, focused on failure possibility, played it safe and missed opportunities. Same information, different mindset, different outcomes. This is the power of mindset, and nowhere is it more important than in your relationship with money and wealth. The abundance mindset is the psychological foundation of all lasting wealth. It's not positive thinking or denial of reality. It's a fundamental way of perceiving the world that opens you to opportunity, possibility, and growth. And it's the single most important distinction between those who build wealth and those who stay financially stuck. Let's define what the abundance mindset actually is, then explore how to develop it permanently. Abundance mindset is the belief that there is more than enough of everything. Money, opportunities, success, happiness. When someone else wins, it doesn't mean you lose. When you see success around you, it proves success is possible and available. Resources can be created, expanded, and multiplied. Contrast this with the scarcity mindset. There's only so much to go around. Life is a zero-sum game. Someone else's gain is my loss. When opportunities arise, I must grab them quickly before someone else does. Resources are fixed and limited. This mindset creates fear, anxiety, and destructive competition. Here's why this matters for wealth. Your mindset acts as a filter for reality. Two people can look at identical circumstances and see completely different things based on their mindset. A person with scarcity mindset looks at a competitive market and thinks, "There's no room for me. Everyone's already doing this. I'll fail." A person with abundance mindset looks at the same market and thinks, "Clearly there's demand. People are making money here. What unique value can I bring? How can I serve this market better?" Same market, different filter, different outcomes. Your mindset literally determines what opportunities you see, what risks you take, what possibilities you pursue. Change your mindset and you change everything. Let's explore the specific characteristics of the abundance mindset in financial contexts. Abundance characteristic 1. Opportunity focus. People with abundance mindset actively look for opportunities. They ask, where is value being created? What problems need solving? What gaps exist in the market? What can I learn that increases my value? They see opportunity everywhere because they're looking for it. Their brain is programmed to notice possibility. Scarcity-minded people focus on obstacles. The economy is bad, there are no jobs, I don't have connections, it's too risky, I might fail. Their brain filters reality for danger and limitation. So that's all they see. Abundance characteristic 2. Collaboration over competition. Abundance-minded people understand that wealth is created, not competed for. They're happy to collaborate, share resources, and help others succeed because they don't believe success is finite. They network generously, give referrals freely, and celebrate others' wins. Scarcity-minded people view everyone as competition. They hoard information, contacts, and opportunities. They feel jealous when others succeed. They're trying to get their piece of a limited pie. Abundance characteristic 3. Investment orientation. Abundance-minded people invest in themselves, their education, their skills, their health, their relationships. They understand that these investments multiply value and open new opportunities. They spend money on books, courses, coaches, experiences that grow them. Scarcity-minded people resist these investments. They think, I can't afford that, or I'll learn for free online, or that's too expensive. They don't see the return on investment. They're focused on preserving what they have rather than multiplying it. Abundance characteristic 4. Generosity. This might seem counterintuitive, but wealthy people with abundance mindset are generous. They tip well, give to charity, help others without expecting return. Why? Because they trust that giving creates circulation. Money flows. What goes out comes back multiplied. Scarcity-minded people hoard tightly. They're afraid to give because they believe giving depletes them. This actually blocks the flow of abundance. Abundance characteristic 5. Long-term thinking. Abundance-minded people think in years and decades. They plant seeds knowing the harvest comes later. They delay gratification for bigger future rewards. They compound small advantages over time into massive wealth. Scarcity-minded people think short-term. They need immediate results. They chase quick money. They spend today's income on today's desires without considering tomorrow's consequences. Now here's the crucial question. If you recognize scarcity patterns in yourself, how do you develop an abundance mindset? This isn't about repeating affirmations, though those can help. It's about rewiring your brain through specific practices that create new neural pathways. Practice 1. Gratitude discipline. Every morning and evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for related to money and abundance. This could be, I'm grateful I earned $200 today. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn about wealth. This trains your brain to notice abundance that already exists. What you focus on expands. Practice 2. Celebrate others' success. When you hear about someone's financial success, genuinely celebrate it. Say out loud, that's amazing, if they can do it, I can too. Their success proves it's possible. This rewires jealousy into inspiration. It tells your subconscious that wealth is available, not scarce. Practice 3. Look for opportunities daily. Each day, identify 3 opportunities you notice. These could be business ideas, investment possibilities, ways to increase your skills, or chances to create value for others. Write them down. You're training your brain to filter for opportunity instead of obstacle. Practice 4. Practice generosity. Even if money is tight, give something. Tip generously. Buy a coffee for the person behind you. Donate to a cause you care about. The amount doesn't matter. The psychology does. You're telling your subconscious, I have enough to give. I trust in abundance. This is incredibly powerful. Practice 5. Invest in growth. Spend money on something that develops you. A book, a course, a seminar, coaching. Even if it's uncomfortable, make the investment. You're programming your subconscious to see you as someone worthy of investment and growth. Practice 6. Use abundance language. Replace scarcity phrases with abundance phrases. Instead of, I can't afford that, say, how can I afford that? Instead of, there's not enough, say, there's more than enough. Instead of, I hope this works, say, I trust this will work out for my highest good. Language shapes psychology. Let me share a powerful story about abundance mindset in action. A man named Thomas started a business in a crowded, competitive industry. He had no connections, limited capital, and competitors who'd been in the market for years. Scarcity mindset would say, impossible, too much competition, you'll fail. But Thomas operated from abundance. He thought, clearly there's demand if this many businesses exist. What value can I uniquely provide? He focused on serving customers exceptionally well, creating more value than competitors, and collaborating with other businesses instead of viewing them as enemies. He referred clients to competitors when his services weren't the right fit, trusting that generosity would return to him. Within 3 years, his business became the most successful in his region. Why? Not because he was smarter or worked harder than competitors. Because his abundance mindset allowed him to see and seize opportunities that scarcity-minded competitors missed. He built partnerships while others fought over scraps. He invested in growth while others hoarded pennies. His mindset created his reality. Here's what I want you to understand deeply. Abundance mindset isn't about denying challenges or pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing to focus on possibility rather than limitation, on solutions rather than problems, on what you can create rather than what you lack. Two people can have identical financial situations. One focuses on the debt and feels despair. The other focuses on the opportunity to learn, grow, and change their situation. Same facts, different mindset, completely different emotional experience and motivation to take action. The abundance mindset doesn't guarantee you'll never face financial challenges. It guarantees you'll face them with resilience, creativity, and confidence that you can overcome them. And that psychological difference is everything. As we close this chapter, I want to give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, commit to living from abundance mindset. Practice gratitude, celebrate others, look for opportunity, give generously, invest in yourself, and use abundance language. Track how your experience shifts. Notice opportunities that appear. Watch how people respond to you differently. Observe your own emotional state and energy levels. Most people who do this report significant changes within 2 weeks. Not because external circumstances changed, but because their perception changed, and perception is reality. When you see through the lens of abundance, abundance appears. Not magically, but naturally, as the logical result of a mindset that attracts, creates, and recognizes it. Your wealth psychology is being rebuilt. Foundation set. Limiting beliefs destroyed. Abundance mindset activated. Now let's explore how wealthy people think about risk, because this is where fortunes are made or missed. Chapter 4. How wealthy people view risk. The calculated gamble. Here's a question that reveals everything about your wealth psychology. When you hear the word risk, what's your immediate emotional response? Fear, excitement, avoidance, curiosity. Your answer determines whether you'll build significant wealth or stay financially stuck your entire life. Most people are taught from childhood to avoid risk at all costs. Get a safe, secure job. Don't rock the boat. Play it safe. Save your money in the bank. These messages create a psychology where risk equals danger, and safety equals security. But here's the paradox that destroys this thinking. Playing it safe is actually the riskiest long-term strategy. Let me explain. When you choose the safe job over the entrepreneurial opportunity, you're risking your potential. When you save money in a low-interest account instead of investing, you're guaranteeing loss to inflation. When you avoid learning new skills because it's uncomfortable, you're risking obsolescence. Safety isn't actually safe. It's slow financial death disguised as security. Wealthy people understand something fundamental. All reward requires risk. There is no path to significant wealth that doesn't involve calculated risk. The question isn't whether to take risks. The question is, how do you take intelligent risks that maximize upside while managing downside? Let's explore how wealthy thinkers approach risk completely differently than poor thinkers. Poor thinkers ask, what if I lose? What if this fails? What if I make a mistake? Their risk assessment is entirely focused on potential loss. This creates paralysis. They see every opportunity primarily through the lens of what could go wrong. Wealthy thinkers ask different questions. What's the potential upside if this works? What's the realistic downside if it fails? Can I afford the downside? What's my backup plan? How can I test this with minimal risk? What will I learn even if it doesn't work? Do you see the difference? They're not ignoring risk. They're evaluating it comprehensively, weighing both upside and downside, and making informed decisions. Here's a framework wealthy people use called asymmetric risk-reward. This means, look for opportunities where the potential gain is significantly larger than the potential loss. If you might gain $10,000 but only risk losing $1,000, that's asymmetric risk-reward. Even if you fail most of the time, the wins more than compensate for the losses. Let me give you a real example. A woman named Jennifer had a stable corporate job earning $70,000 per year. She had an idea for a business but was terrified to leave her job. Traditional thinking says, stay safe, keep the paycheck, don't risk your security. But Jennifer analyzed the risk intelligently. She calculated, I have 6 months of living expenses saved. That's my safety net. I can test my business idea on nights and weekends for 3 months without quitting. If it shows promise, I can quit and go full-time. If it fails, I've lost 3 months of free time but still have my job and savings. If it succeeds, I could be earning $200,000 or more within a few years. The potential upside was massive. The actual risk was minimal. She tested the business. It showed promise. She quit her job. Within 2 years, she was earning $300,000 annually. The kicker? Her friends who played it safe and stayed in corporate jobs actually faced bigger risks they didn't recognize. Several were laid off during restructuring. Their safe jobs weren't safe at all. This brings us to a crucial distinction: perceived risk versus actual risk. Perceived risk is what feels dangerous based on emotion and conditioning. Actual risk is what's truly dangerous based on facts and analysis. These are often completely misaligned. Starting a business feels incredibly risky. But if you have savings, skills, and a tested idea, the actual risk might be quite low. Staying in a job you hate feels safe. But if that job is in a declining industry, your skills are stagnating, and you're completely dependent on one income source, the actual risk is enormous. Wealthy people get very good at distinguishing perceived risk from actual risk. They make decisions based on actual risk, not fear-based perception. This allows them to take actions that seem crazy to others but are actually quite rational. Now let's talk about the concept of intelligent risk-taking. There are 4 types of risk. Let's categorize them. Stupid risks, where downside is catastrophic and upside is minimal. Gambles, where outcome is purely luck-based with no skill component. Calculated risks, where you've analyzed upside, downside, and probability intelligently. And asymmetric opportunities, where potential gain massively exceeds potential loss. Wealthy people avoid stupid risks and gambles. They take calculated risks regularly and actively hunt for asymmetric opportunities. Poor thinkers avoid all risks or only take stupid risks and gambles. Here's an example of each. Stupid risk: betting your entire life savings on a single stock based on a tip from a friend. Catastrophic downside: limited upside, no analysis. Gamble: buying lottery tickets. Pure luck: negative expected value. Calculated risk: investing 20% of your savings in a diversified stock portfolio after researching historical returns and understanding volatility. Asymmetric opportunity: starting a side business with low startup costs that could eventually replace your income. The wealthy actively seek asymmetric opportunities because the math is overwhelmingly in their favor. Even with high failure rates, the occasional massive win creates more wealth than all the small losses combined. Let me share another critical insight about risk. The biggest risk is taking no risks. When you avoid all risk, you guarantee mediocrity. You cap your potential. You stay exactly where you are, which means you're actually losing ground because inflation and cost of living increase while your income stagnates. There's a powerful concept called opportunity cost. This is what you lose by not taking an action. When you don't invest in stocks because you're afraid of losing money, the opportunity cost is decades of compound growth. When you don't start that business because you're afraid of failure, the opportunity cost might be millions of dollars in potential income and the freedom it would bring. Poor thinkers only see the cost of action. Wealthy thinkers see both the cost of action and the cost of inaction. Often, the cost of inaction is far greater, but it's invisible, so people ignore it. Now let's discuss failure, because fear of failure is the number one reason people avoid risk. Here's what wealthy people understand about failure. It's tuition, not tragedy. Every failure teaches you what doesn't work, which gets you closer to what does. Failure is only permanent if you quit. Thomas Edison tested thousands of materials before finding the right filament for the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's wealthy thinking about failure. Each attempt wasn't failure. It was education, data gathering, progress toward the solution. Contrast this with how most people view failure. Failure means I'm inadequate, I should give up, I was wrong to try, everyone will judge me, I'll never succeed. This makes failure catastrophic emotionally, so people avoid anything that might lead to failure, which means they avoid anything with significant upside potential. Here's how to develop a wealthy relationship with risk and failure. Step 1. Reframe failure as feedback. Every outcome gives you information. You're not failing. You're learning. This removes the emotional charge and makes risk-taking rational instead of terrifying. Step 2. Calculate worst-case scenarios realistically. When considering a risk, ask, what's the absolute worst that could happen? Usually, the worst case is much less catastrophic than your fear suggests. And often, even the worst case is recoverable. Step 3. Build a risk tolerance gradually. Don't jump from no risk to huge risk. Take small calculated risks, see that you survive and often thrive, then gradually increase. You're training your nervous system to handle risk confidently. Step 4. Develop multiple income streams. When you have diversified income, each individual risk becomes smaller. If one stream fails, you have others. This is exactly how wealthy people approach it. They're rarely dependent on a single source. Step 5. Always have a plan B. Knowing you have a backup plan dramatically reduces the fear around risk. If this opportunity doesn't work, what will I do? Having that answer makes the primary risk much easier to take. Let me share one final story about risk psychology. Two brothers inherited $50,000 each. The first brother invested it all in a safe savings account earning 2% interest. The second brother invested $40,000 in a diversified stock portfolio and used $10,000 to start a small online business. 20 years later, the first brother's $50,000 had grown to about $74,000. He felt safe the entire time. The second brother's investment portfolio grew to approximately $190,000, and his business, after several pivots and lessons from failures, eventually sold for $800,000. Same starting point. The first brother prioritized feeling safe. The second prioritized intelligent risk-taking. The outcome? Nearly $1 million difference. That's the cost of avoiding risk. That's what playing it safe actually costs you over a lifetime. As we close this chapter, I want you to examine your relationship with risk honestly. Are you avoiding risks that could dramatically improve your financial situation because of fear? Are you confusing perceived risk with actual risk? Are you paying enormous opportunity costs by playing it safe? Wealth requires risk, but intelligent, calculated, asymmetric risk. Not reckless gambling. Not stupid decisions. Strategic risk-taking based on analysis, preparation, and understanding that the biggest risk is taking no risks at all. Develop this psychology, and you unlock opportunities that fearful people never even see. Chapter 5. The compound effect, small decisions, massive wealth. There's a question I ask everyone who wants to build wealth. Would you rather have $1 million today, or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days? Most people immediately choose the $1 million. It sounds obvious. But let's do the math on that penny. Day 1, 1 cent. Day 2, 2 cents. Day 5, 16 cents. Day 10, $5.12. Still not impressive. Day 15, $163.84. Getting more interesting. Day 20, $5,242.88. Now we're talking. Day 25, $167,772.16. And day 30, $10,737,418.24. Over $10 million from a penny. That's compound growth. And it's the most powerful wealth-building force in existence. Yet most people completely fail to harness it because they don't see dramatic results immediately. This is the compound effect. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create exponential results. The key is small, consistent, time. Most people want big, sporadic now. That's why they stay broke. Wealthy people master the compound effect. They understand that wealth isn't built through lottery wins or sudden windfalls. It's built through daily decisions that seem insignificant individually but compound into fortune over time. Let's explore how the compound effect operates in every area of wealth building. First, investment compound growth. When you invest $1,000 at 10% annual return, it grows to $2,594 in 10 years. Not that impressive. But in 30 years, that same $1,000 grows to $17,449. And in 40 years, it becomes $45,259. Same initial investment. The difference is time allowing compound growth. Now imagine you invest $1,000 every single month for 30 years at the same 10% return. You would contribute $360,000 total. But your account would be worth over $2,283,000. That's the compound effect with consistent contributions. But here's where it gets truly powerful. Most people only think about compound growth in investments. Wealthy people apply compound thinking to everything. Skills compound. Knowledge compounds. Relationships compound. Reputation compounds. Health compounds. Every area of life responds to the compound effect. Let's talk about skill compounding. When you learn a valuable skill, it increases your earning power. Maybe that skill lets you earn an extra $5,000 this year. Not life-changing, but that skill also makes learning the next skill easier. And each skill multiplies the value of previous skills. 10 years later, those compounded skills might earn you an extra $100,000 per year. 20 years later, maybe $500,000 per year. The person who didn't invest in skill development? They're earning roughly the same as 10 years ago, probably less when adjusted for inflation. Same time passed. Completely different trajectories. That's compound effect. Relationship compounding works similarly. Every positive interaction with someone deposits value in that relationship. Most interactions seem insignificant, but over years, those deposits compound into deep trust, mutual value, and opportunities. Wealthy people nurture relationships consistently because they understand compound relational equity. A man I know sent a thoughtful email to someone in his industry once per month for 5 years. Just checking in, sharing an interesting article, congratulating them on achievements. Nothing dramatic. Most months, just a 2-minute email. After 5 years, that person became a business partner in a venture that generated multiple millions in profit. 5 years of tiny, consistent relationship deposits compounded into massive return. Now let's talk about the dark side of compounding. Negative compound effects. Just as positive actions compound into wealth, negative actions compound into poverty. Small poor decisions, repeated consistently, create exponential loss. That daily $5 latte seems harmless. But $5 per day is $150 per month, $1,800 per year. Invested at 10% return over 30 years, that's $336,503. Your daily latte costs you over $300,000 in opportunity cost. I'm not saying never buy coffee. I'm saying, understand the compound cost of every spending decision. Wealthy people don't deprive themselves. They just evaluate. Is this purchase worth the compound cost? Sometimes it is. Often it isn't. Here's another negative compound. Debt. Credit card debt at 18% interest compounds against you. A $5,000 balance becomes much larger if you only make minimum payments. The compounding interest works for the credit card company and against you. Wealthy people avoid negative compounding like poison. Poor people don't realize they're drowning in it. Let's discuss the critical importance of starting early with compound growth. Time is the most powerful variable in the compound equation. Starting 10 years earlier with the same investment makes a massive difference. Someone who invests $5,000 per year from age 25 to 35, then stops, contributing only $50,000 total, will have more at retirement than someone who starts at 35 and contributes $5,000 per year until 65, contributing $150,000 total. Why? 10 extra years of compound growth on the front end makes that big of a difference. This is why wealthy people teach their children about money early. They want them to start the compound clock as soon as possible. Every year you delay is exponentially costly. Not just in the money you didn't contribute, but in the compound growth you missed on that money. Now here's a crucial mindset shift about the compound effect. It requires patience and delayed gratification. In the first 5 years of compound growth, results are underwhelming. Most people quit because they don't see dramatic changes. But years 10 through 20? That's when compounding accelerates dramatically. Years 20 through 30? Exponential. The majority of your wealth will be created in the final third of your compound timeline. Wealthy people understand this. They plant seeds knowing the harvest is decades away. They make decisions today that won't pay off for years. They sacrifice immediate gratification for long-term abundance. Poor thinkers want immediate results. When they don't see quick wins, they quit and start over. They never stay in anything long enough for compounding to work its magic. Here's a framework for applying compound thinking to your financial life. Identify the daily 1% improvements. What small action could you take every day that improves your financial situation by just 1%? Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a finance book. Maybe it's learning one new skill for 15 minutes. Maybe it's making one networking connection. 1% seems trivial. But 1% improvement every day for a year is 37 times better by year-end due to compound effect. That's not additive. It's multiplicative. That's the power of tiny, consistent improvements. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates this. A woman named Maria wanted to build wealth but felt overwhelmed. She was earning $45,000 per year with no savings. I told her, focus on the compound effect. Improve 1% at a time. Month 1. She read one personal finance book and learned about high-yield savings accounts. She opened one and started saving $50 per month. Tiny action. Month 2. She took a free online course on her industry and learned a skill that helped her work more efficiently. Month 3. She asked for a small project at work that let her demonstrate new capabilities. These seem like nothing individually, but they compounded. 6 months later, the efficiency from her new skills got her noticed. She received a promotion with a $7,000 raise. She increased her savings to $300 per month. She started investing in index funds. She took another course and developed more skills. 2 years later, she was earning $68,000, had $15,000 saved and invested, and had positioned herself for another promotion. 5 years later, she was earning $95,000, had over $80,000 in investments, and had started a profitable side business. Same person. The only difference was consistent application of the compound effect. Tiny improvements every week, each building on the last. No lottery wins. No inheritance. Just the mathematical certainty of compound growth applied consistently. Here's your action plan for harnessing the compound effect. Number 1. Start now, not next month, not when conditions are perfect, right now. Even if you can only invest $50 this month. The compound clock starts when you start. Number 2. Be consistent. Compound effect requires regular action. It's better to invest $100 every month for 5 years than $5,000 once and then nothing. Consistency is everything. Number 3. Increase gradually. As your income grows, increase your investments and learning proportionally. This accelerates compounding. Number 4. Never interrupt the compound process. Don't cash out investments early. Don't stop learning. Don't neglect relationships. Interrupting compounding restarts the clock at 0. Number 5. Track your progress. Seeing compound growth, even slow initially, motivates continued action. Take photos of your investment account. Journal about skills learned. Document relationship growth. As we close this chapter, understand this. Wealth building isn't complicated. It's simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. The compound effect requires patience, discipline, and faith that small actions today create massive results tomorrow. Most people lack this patience. That's why most people stay broke. You don't have to be most people. Plant your seeds today. Water them consistently. Protect them patiently. And trust that the mathematical certainty of compound growth will create the harvest. Time is your greatest asset. The compound effect is your greatest tool. Combine them, and wealth becomes inevitable. Chapter 6. Multiple income streams. The wealthy person's insurance policy hears a question that immediately reveals financial sophistication. How many income streams do you have? If your answer is 1, a job, you're in a precarious position no matter how secure that job feels. If your answer is 3 or more, you're thinking like a wealthy person. Let me explain why. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. Not 1. 7. Why? Because they understand that relying on a single income source, no matter how stable it seems, is incredibly risky. Jobs can disappear overnight through layoffs, company closures, or economic downturns. Businesses can fail. Investments can crash. But when you have multiple streams, the loss of one doesn't destroy you financially. This is the psychology of anti-fragility applied to income. Wealthy people don't just protect against downside. They position themselves to benefit from volatility and change. Multiple income streams provide security, but more importantly, they provide exponential growth potential and flexibility. Let's explore the concept of income streams deeply. There are two fundamental types of income: active and passive. Active income requires your time and effort continuously. You trade hours for dollars. Your job is active income. Freelancing is active income. Running a service business is mostly active income. The limitation: there are only so many hours in a day. Active income has a ceiling. Passive income generates money without requiring your continuous effort. Investment dividends are passive. Rental property income is passive. Royalties from books or courses are passive. Interest from savings or bonds is passive. The beautiful thing about passive income? It scales infinitely. You're not limited by hours in a day. The wealthy build multiple active income streams initially, then systematically convert them to passive streams over time. This creates financial freedom because your lifestyle isn't dependent on your labor. Money flows in whether you work or not. Let me break down the 7 most common income streams wealthy people develop. Stream 1: earned income from your primary career or job. This is where most people start and stop. It's active income, trading time for money. The key is maximizing this through skill development, negotiation, and strategic career moves. Stream 2: profit from a business you own. This could be a side business initially, eventually becoming full-time. Smart wealthy people build businesses that can run without their constant presence, creating semi-passive income. Stream 3: interest income from savings and lending. High-yield savings accounts, bonds, peer-to-peer lending. These generate reliable, though typically modest, passive income. Stream 4: dividend income from stocks. When you own shares in companies that pay dividends, you receive quarterly payments. Build a large enough portfolio, and dividends can cover living expenses entirely. Stream 5: rental income from real estate. Property you own that others pay to use. This can be residential real estate, commercial property, or even things like equipment rentals. Stream 6: capital gains from investments. When investments appreciate and you sell them, the profit is capital gain income. Stocks, real estate, businesses, collectibles, all can generate capital gains. Stream 7: royalty income from intellectual property. If you create something once, books, courses, music, patents, software, and people pay to use it repeatedly, that's royalty income. This is highly scalable passive income. Now, you don't need all 7 immediately. But having 3 to 4 income streams makes you significantly more financially secure than relying on one. And building towards 7 over time creates genuine wealth and freedom. Let's discuss the psychology behind multiple income streams. When you have only one income source, that source controls your life. If it's a job, your boss controls your schedule, income, and often your stress level. You're completely dependent. This creates fear-based decision-making. You can't take risks, speak up, or leave even if you're miserable, because losing that single stream means financial disaster. When you have multiple income streams, you have power and options. If one stream decreases or disappears, you still have others. This allows confident decision-making. You can negotiate harder, take calculated risks, and walk away from situations that don't serve you. This isn't just about money. It's about autonomy and psychological freedom. Here's a story that illustrates this perfectly. 2 people, David and Rachel, both earned $70,000 per year at their jobs. David relied entirely on his job. Rachel had her job plus a side business earning $15,000 per year, a rental property earning $12,000 per year, and investments generating $8,000 in annual dividends. When the economy crashed and both lost their jobs, their experiences were completely different. David panicked. He had no backup. He took the first job he could find, even though it paid less and he hated it. He felt trapped. Rachel was disappointed but not desperate. Her other streams covered her basic expenses. She took her time, found a better position, and actually negotiated a higher salary because she wasn't desperate. Her multiple streams gave her leverage and peace of mind. Same triggering event. Completely different outcomes based entirely on income stream psychology. This is why building multiple streams isn't just smart financially. It's essential psychologically. Now let's talk about how to actually build multiple income streams practically. Step 1. Maximize your primary income first. Get really good at what you do. Negotiate raises. Take on high-value projects. Invest in skills that increase your market value. Your primary income funds everything else, so optimize it. Step 2. Start a side income stream with low barrier to entry. This could be freelancing your skills, starting an online business, creating digital products, whatever aligns with your abilities and requires minimal upfront investment. The goal is learning and generating additional cash flow, not replacing your job immediately. Step 3. Invest systematically in assets that generate passive income. Even if you can only invest $100 per month initially, start. Dividend-paying stocks, index funds, or REITs, real estate investment trusts, are great starting points. This stream will grow slowly but compound powerfully over time. Step 4. As your income grows, acquire income-generating assets. This might be rental property, purchasing a profitable small business, or building a product that generates ongoing royalties. These require more capital but create more substantial passive income. Step 5. Systematize and delegate. As your streams grow, remove yourself from the daily operations. Hire people, automate processes, create systems. Convert active income to passive income wherever possible. This isn't a one-year process. Building multiple substantial income streams takes 5 to 10 years typically. But think about where you'll be in 10 years if you start today versus if you don't. 10 years pass either way. The question is, will you have multiple income streams supporting your freedom, or will you still be dependent on a single job hoping it doesn't disappear? Let me address the common objection. I don't have time to build additional income streams. I understand. You're already working full-time. Maybe you have family obligations. Time is limited. Here's the reframe. You don't have time not to build additional streams. Because relying on one stream means you'll spend your entire life working full-time out of necessity, not choice. Building additional streams requires sacrifice initially. Maybe you work on your side business evenings and weekends for 2 years. That's hard. But the alternative is working full-time for 40 years with no freedom. Which would you prefer? 2 years of extra effort for decades of freedom, or decades of dependence? Wealthy people make this trade gladly. They sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term freedom. They understand that pain now creates ease later, while ease now creates pain later. Here's your action plan. This month, audit your current income streams. How many do you have? How reliable is each? What would happen if you lost your primary stream? Next month, choose one new income stream to develop. Start small. Commit to working on it 5 hours per week. In 6 months, evaluate progress. Is this stream generating any income? What have you learned? Adjust strategy. In 1 year, your goal is having at least one supplementary income stream generating meaningful money, even if it's just $200 to $500 per month. That might not sound like much, but it proves the concept. It builds confidence. It creates momentum. And most importantly, it begins your journey from dependence to diversification. As we close this chapter, remember, the wealthiest people you know don't have one big income. They have multiple income sources that compound together. They've built financial resilience and freedom through diversification. You can do the same. Start today. Build slowly. Be patient. And trust that multiple income streams are the foundation of lasting wealth and genuine financial security. Chapter 7. Your money story. Rewriting your financial identity. Every person has a money story, a narrative you tell yourself about who you are in relation to money. This story was written mostly in childhood through observations and experiences, and it's been running your financial life ever since, usually without your conscious awareness. Your money story determines what you believe you deserve, how much you think you can earn, how you handle windfalls, and whether you'll ultimately build wealth or stay financially stuck. Let me give you examples of common money stories. I'm not good with money. Money slips through my fingers. I'll never be rich like them. I don't deserve wealth. Money is hard to come by. Rich people are lucky, and I'm not. I'm destined to struggle financially like my parents. These are stories, not facts, but if you believe them, they become your reality. Here's how this works psychologically. Your money story creates a financial identity. That identity determines your financial behavior. Your behavior creates your results. Your results reinforce your story. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy loop. If your story is, I'm bad with money, you'll make poor financial decisions, get poor results, and then say, see, I told you I'm bad with money. The story perpetuates itself. The devastating thing about money stories is they're invisible. You don't think, I'm operating from a limiting narrative. You think, this is just who I am. This is reality. But it's not reality. It's a story you internalized and can rewrite. Let's explore where money stories come from. The primary source is childhood observation of your parents' relationship with money. If your parents constantly fought about money, struggled financially, or expressed anxiety around spending, you absorbed those patterns. Your young brain concluded, money causes stress and conflict. If your parents were wealthy but emotionally distant or morally questionable, you might have internalized, money makes you a bad person. If your parents sacrificed everything working multiple jobs, you learned, making money requires suffering and sacrifice. These observations create unconscious programming that runs your adult financial life. You're not consciously thinking, I should struggle financially because my parents did. But your subconscious is programmed to recreate familiar patterns, even negative ones, because familiar feels safe even when it's destructive. Secondary sources of money stories include cultural messages, religious teachings, media portrayals, and personal experiences of financial pain or success. All of these contribute to the narrative you tell yourself about money and your relationship to it. Here's the crucial question. What is your money story? Most people have never consciously examined this. Let's bring it to awareness right now. Complete these sentences honestly. Money is blank. Rich people are blank. I'm the type of person who blank with money. My financial future will be blank because blank. Your immediate, unfiltered answers reveal your money story. And I guarantee, if you're not as wealthy as you want to be, your story contains limiting beliefs and negative narratives. The good news? Stories can be rewritten. You're the author. You can create a new, empowering money story anytime you choose. Let me share a powerful example of money story transformation. A man named Robert grew up in poverty. His parents were hardworking but perpetually broke. His childhood was filled with messages. We can't afford that. Money is only for other people. Just be grateful for what little we have. His money story became, I'm from a poor family, so I'll always struggle financially. That's just who I am. This story dictated his behavior for years. He worked hard but always in low-paying jobs. When opportunities for advancement appeared, He sabotaged himself unconsciously because success didn't match his identity. His story kept him poor. Then one day, he read a book about wealth psychology and realized, this narrative isn't fact. It's a story I can change. He consciously wrote a new money story. I come from humble beginnings, which taught me resilience and work ethic. I'm capable of creating wealth through value creation. My past doesn't determine my future. My financial identity is evolving. I'm becoming wealthy. He repeated this new story daily. He visualized it. He acted from it. Within 2 years, his income tripled. Within 5 years, he was a millionaire. Same person, different story, different identity, different results. That's the power of consciously rewriting your money story. Now let's discuss how to identify and transform your limiting money stories systematically. Step 1. Awareness. Write out every belief you hold about money. Don't censor. Just write. Money is hard to earn. Rich people are lucky. I'm not smart enough to be wealthy. I'll probably always struggle. Get it all on paper. Step 2. Identify the source. For each limiting belief, ask, where did I learn this? Was it something my parents said or modeled? A painful financial experience? A cultural message? Understanding the source helps you see it's learned, not intrinsic truth. Step 3. Question the belief. Is this absolutely true? What evidence contradicts it? Are there people from similar backgrounds who achieved wealth? What would happen if I stopped believing this? This creates cognitive dissonance that loosens the belief's grip. Step 4. Create an empowering replacement story. For every limiting belief, write a powerful opposite truth. I'm not good with money becomes, I'm learning to master money and becoming financially intelligent. Money is hard to earn becomes, money flows to me as I create value. I don't deserve wealth becomes, I deserve abundant financial prosperity and freedom. Step 5. Embody the new story. This is where most people fail. They write the new story but don't actually live from it. You must act as if your new story is already true. If your new story is, I'm a wealthy person who manages money wisely, start making decisions a wealthy person would make. Invest, learn, network, behave as your new identity. Step 6. Celebrate evidence. Look for proof that your new story is true. Every time you make a smart financial decision, acknowledge it. This proves I'm financially intelligent. Every time you earn money, celebrate. This proves money flows to me. You're training your brain to filter reality through your new story. This process takes time, typically 60 to 90 days of daily practice to significantly shift a deeply held money story. But the results are life-changing. Your financial identity is the foundation everything else builds on. Transform your identity, and your financial reality transforms automatically. Let me share one more story about money story transformation. A woman named Lisa had a story. I'm creative, and creative people are bad with money. This identity gave her permission to be financially irresponsible. It explained away poor decisions. It was actually protecting her from the discomfort of financial discipline. When she realized this was just a story, she wrote a new one. I'm creative and financially intelligent. My creativity helps me find innovative ways to create wealth. She started treating financial management as a creative challenge. She designed systems that worked for her personality. She leveraged her creativity in income generation. Her finances transformed completely, not because she stopped being creative, but because she stopped using creativity as an excuse for financial dysfunction. New story, new identity, new results. As we close this chapter, do the work. Examine your money story honestly. It's uncomfortable. You'll encounter beliefs you didn't know you had. You might feel resistance or emotion. That's normal. It means you're touching something real and significant. Don't skip this. Your money story is either your greatest asset or your biggest liability in building wealth. You get to choose which by choosing whether to examine and rewrite it. Write your new money story. Make it compelling, empowering, and worthy of your potential. Then live from that story every single day until it becomes your new reality. Because here's the truth. You'll never out-earn your identity. If you see yourself as broke, you'll stay broke no matter how much you earn. If you see yourself as wealthy, you'll find ways to create and keep wealth. Your story determines everything. Write a great one. Conclusion. Your wealth psychology journey begins now. We've covered enormous ground together in this audiobook. From understanding the fundamental differences between rich and poor thinking to destroying limiting beliefs, from developing an abundance mindset to mastering intelligent risk-taking, from harnessing the compound effect to building multiple income streams, and finally, rewriting your money story to create a wealthy identity. But knowledge without application is just information, not transformation. The real question is, what will you do with what you've learned? Because your wealth psychology won't change from reading alone. It changes through deliberate, consistent practice of new patterns and beliefs. Let me give you a clear implementation roadmap. Week 1. Examine your current money story. Write out every belief you hold about money. Identify which beliefs serve you and which limit you. Begin writing your new, empowering money story. Week 2. Practice abundance mindset daily. Start gratitude journaling about finances. Celebrate others' success. Look for opportunities. Give generously even in small ways. Retrain your brain to see abundance instead of scarcity. Week 3. Analyze your risk psychology. What intelligent risks have you been avoiding due to fear? Choose one calculated risk to take. Plan it carefully. Evaluate upside and downside, then act. Build your risk tolerance muscle. Week 4. Set up your first supplementary income stream. Choose one practical method to generate additional income. Commit to 5 hours per week building it. Take action, not just planning. Week 5. Implement compound thinking in investments. If you're not investing yet, open an investment account and make your first contribution, even if it's small. Set up automatic monthly contributions. Start your compound clock. Week 6. Destroy one major limiting belief completely. Choose your most destructive money belief. Use the questioning and replacement process we discussed. Repeat your new empowering belief daily with emotion and visualization. This 6-week roadmap creates real transformation. Not overnight wealth, but psychological shifts that inevitably lead to financial improvement. Because wealth is an inside job. It starts in your mind, in your beliefs, in your identity. Here's what I want you to understand deeply as we close. You are not destined to your current financial situation. Your past does not determine your future. Your circumstances are not permanent. Your wealth psychology can be transformed, and when it transforms, your financial reality transforms with it. Think about where you'll be 5 years from now if you apply everything in this audiobook consistently. You'll think differently about money. You'll make different decisions. You'll take different actions. You'll get different results. You'll be a different person financially, all because you chose to change your psychology. Now contrast that with where you'll be 5 years from now if nothing changes. Same limiting beliefs. Same scarcity mindset. Same avoidance of risk. Same single income stream. Same financial stress. 5 years will pass either way. Which future do you prefer? The wealthy people you admire? They weren't born wealthy, most of them. They developed wealth psychology, usually through deliberate effort and learning. They examined their beliefs. They adopted abundance thinking. They took calculated risks. They built multiple streams. They managed money intelligently. They became the type of person who naturally attracts and keeps wealth. You can become that person too. You have everything you need right now. The intelligence, the capability, the potential. What you might lack is the psychology. But that's exactly what this audiobook has given you. The frameworks, the understanding, the roadmap for transformation. So here's my challenge to you. Commit to the journey. Not just for 6 weeks, but for 6 months, 6 years, for the rest of your life. Make wealth psychology development an ongoing practice, not a one-time event. Read books about money and psychology. Listen to interviews with successful wealthy people. Find mentors who've achieved what you want. Surround yourself with abundance thinkers. Continuously upgrade your programming. And be patient with yourself. Psychological transformation takes time. You won't change decades of conditioning overnight. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, times when old patterns resurface. That's normal. That's part of growth. Don't let temporary setbacks derail your commitment to long-term transformation. Remember this always. Wealth psychology isn't about greed or materialism. It's about freedom. Freedom to live life on your terms. Freedom to be generous with people and causes you care about. Freedom to take risks and pursue meaningful work. Freedom from the stress and limitation of financial scarcity. That freedom is worth the effort of transformation. As we part ways, I want to thank you for investing this time in your financial psychology. Most people never examine their beliefs about money. They live their entire lives running unconscious programs that keep them broke. You've chosen differently. You've chosen awareness, growth, and transformation. That choice alone puts you ahead of 95% of people. Now go apply what you've learned. Examine your beliefs. Develop abundance mindset. Take intelligent risks. Start building multiple income streams. Rewrite your money story. Create a wealthy identity. And trust that as your psychology transforms, your financial reality will transform with it. Your wealth journey doesn't start tomorrow or next week. It starts right now, in this moment, with a decision to think differently about money. Make that decision. Commit to that transformation. And watch as the wealth psychology you develop creates the financial abundance you desire and deserve. Think rich. Become rich. Your transformation begins now.